Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mrs. Adeniro, Mr. T. Mark, Mr. Sebastian, and Mr. Terry Omodibo. Because if you can hear me, can you just say something? Maybe just send a chat so I know I'm good to go.
Live with you, live right here on point with you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good evening. We can hear you loud and clear.
Aha.
Hello, good evening. We can hear you.
Hi. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm so grateful. It's a privilege, it's an opportunity to be here tonight. Thank you very much. That means that you actually believe in me, and that's why you're here tonight. That means that everyone is going to learn something. You're going to learn something tonight. I'll just go straight to the point, straight to the seminar. The title of the training today is Understanding Your True Identity. Understanding your true identity. And I'll just go straight to the point. Let's meet Taiwo Awonuga, because I know there's some people here that are new. You might be meeting me for the first time. So I'll just briefly read my profile. This is a short profile. I have the long one, but it's just a short one. So I'll just quickly read that. Taiwo Awonuga is a transformational leader and influencer who has an assignment to help people, men and women, discover their true identity, kickstart their life purpose, and build their personal identity brand. She's a lead consultant of Quantumite Consulting, a human capital and management consulting firm, which offers one-on-one coaching on identity, corporate training and development, financial budgeting planning, and strategy formulation and execution for SMEs and corporate organizations. So I can't read this is really long. So I'll just go straight to the point, understanding your true identity. This topic is I'm very passionate about this topic, and that's why I decided to share this topic so that everyone can learn. First of all, learn from my story and also be able to discover your true identity. I realized that there's a tremendous power principle in this life. And this power principle is the principle of sowing and reaping. That means that whatever you sow is what you will reap. It's just like a farmer. When a farmer sows a seed, he's expectant. That means that he's looking forward to his harvest, that, oh, on this day, I'm going to, I have to harvest whatever I've sown. And so our life, basically, there's a principle called the law of sowing and reaping. That means that you must be sowing something per time. It's only when you sow that you reap. But I realize that so many people are not sowing, they're not sowing and they want to reap. And in order to be able to achieve your potential, your full potential in life, in order for you to get the best of who God has created you to be, there must be sowing. That means that it's a seed. Our life is like a seed. You must be sowing something. And so that brings me to this topic, understanding your true identity. That means that if you want to truly understand your identity, discover who you are, that means that you must be able to sow. That you must be sowing a seed to discover your true identity. And I believe that's why you're here tonight, because you're actually sowing a seed, which is the seed to learn more about yourself, to discover your true identity, and to understand who God has created you to be. So this is the course outline and the objectives. At the end of this training, you would have learned what is an identity, the stages of self-discovery, the principles to self-identity, signs and symptoms of identity crisis or confusion, the factors that causes identity crisis, and steps to self-discovery and how to build your personal identity brand. So I'll just go straight to my training now. Miles Moran said, the greatest discovery in life is the discovery of oneself. Until we know who we are, we will never live a full and fulfilled life. That means that the first discovery in life is to discover ourselves. What I'm trying to say is that or rather what Miles Moran is saying, that your first discovery is not even how to make money, because I guess that's what most people are looking to discover now. Your first discovery is not even how do I become successful. Your greatest discovery is the discovery of yourself. If you understand yourself, if you understand your true self, then you will live a full and fulfilled life. You'll be able to unlock all the potential that is on the inside of you and live the best life that God has called you to live. And so I'll just briefly share my identity story, because I know that there's no how I can talk about identity, discovering your identity or understanding your identity without talking about my identity story. This might be very new to many of us, but I'll just simply start. So you all know my name is Taiwo. What does Taiwo mean? Taiwo means Otayewo. You know, for those of us that are not Yoruba, Otayewo. That means I actually came to the world to taste the world. And I went back, or rather I told Kende already that Kende, I'm going to go to the world and check if the world is interesting, then I will tell you to come. And so I came out, oh, really, the world is interesting. And then Kende came over. That's why his name means Okende. So that's just in a lighter mood. But let me just say that my identity story started when I was a teenager. Because you know that we are twins, everything has to be double. When my parents are buying things for us, they always have to buy double things, like, even though we're not identical, I'm a lady, he's a guy, he's a man. Of course, if my parents had to buy things, they would always buy it at the same time. So school fees, you are paying the same time, textbooks, the same time, shoes for school, the same time. So everything is always the same way. But there was just something that was a bit not the same, and that was in my academic achievement. So in terms of my academic achievement, my twin brother was very, very good. He's intelligent, brilliant, and when it comes to academics, he was a high flyer. But I was just the normal Taiwo, average. But I always looked up to my twin brother. I wanted to, sometimes we'll go to exam hall together. We might not, okay, I think there was a time we're not in the same class, but there were some times that we're in the same class. And after when we get to the end of the session, I'll look at his results and he would have high grades. I'll just be wondering, what does this guy have that I don't have? And it started as a seed. I would compare myself to his results and look at it, and I started feeling, the seed started growing. I was not secured of myself, and it went on and on, but I just tried to manage it. But I remember that in SS2 in high school, I remember that I went back home. It was a mock exam. Of course, I read like usual. He read the exam. We had the exam, and the result came out. I looked at his own. He did very well. I looked at my own was so poor. And I said, I just couldn't take this result home because I know my dad would not find it funny. My dad is a disciplinary man. He would not find it funny. Do you have two heads? And what is different? So when I got home, I told my dad, I said, Dad, I can't find I told him that where's your result? Where's your report card? I said, the teacher said I should come back, that I should be ready in 2 or 3 weeks time. I'd forgotten that my daddy was even the PTA chairman of the school then. So he said, okay, really, are you sure? I said, yes. 1 hour later, he called me. He said, I've called your teacher. Your teacher said you should go and bring the result in school. I don't know whether I actually called my teacher. I don't know what happened, but of course the result was with me, the report card. But I didn't know how to tell him because I was scared. I'd lost, like I said, it started from a seed. I'd lost who I was becoming. there was so many things going on in my mind. I couldn't, let him know that this is what I'm going through. I was not bold enough to explain to my dad. And he just said, well, I think that was the first time I was going to take a public transport to school. He gave me a transport money. I said, now go to your school and go and get the result, go and get the report card. I went to school, even though the report card was with me at home, but I went to school and just went round, depressed. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I came back home and showed him the result. And as usual, he was like, oh no, Taiwo, this is not good enough. Why, what happened, da, da, da. And like I said again, the seed grew again. It grew when I took it to college. That's the university. I took it to the college. And when I got to the college too, the seed started growing again. I started having this insecurity. I started becoming, I wanted anytime when I'm talking to my friend, I wanted them to pity me. Honestly, where those thoughts came out from me, I still can't understand it. But of course, I knew that there must have been something. Our life is like an iceberg. When you see an iceberg, what you see is the surface. But mostly the unconscious part is what goes on. These are the past experience, whatever you've gone through, it stays underneath. And that's why when you see the picture of an iceberg, it's always big, it's huge underneath it, because you can't see. There's so many things that have gone on. I'm sure maybe one of those unconscious things were things that were coming into the conscious, into the physical life now. And then I started becoming very fearful. I'll be so scared. I wanted to be alone. And my sister was staying with me then, so I was still a bit comfortable. So 2 years later, she left. She graduated and left, and I was left alone in college. And then that was when reality came in, and it grew so bad. I remember there'll be many times I would stay alone in my room. I would isolate myself. I would cry and weep. I was always asking myself, why me? Why me? I couldn't understand it, but because when I traced it back, I realized that it started from the seed, what I went through, the comparison that I went through, the insecurity I went through, why I couldn't meet up to my twin brother's academic achievements. So those were the things that grew to become an iceberg. And so it was exhibiting himself, or so to say, in the real life in the college. And it went on. And I remember a particular friend of mine, one of my classmates came to my hostel and said that enough is enough, that I won't allow you stay. I won't allow you stay in this hostel. Now you're going to join a drama unit, just to put me on. Just leave. Stop staying. Stop isolating yourself. So I left. I joined the drama unit, and I would just sit down and just enjoy the old drama. I was not acting because I was not even in the mood for getting myself involved in any act. But I would just sit there and I just chair them. And then my drama leader came one particular day and said, Taiwo, we are going to round up. They're going to give up, just round up. The drama, they were done with the drama. So my own role was to just go there and like a vote of just say a speech, just a closing remark speech. And I was in front, because of what I was dealing with at that time, had rehearsed. And so the time for me to go on the stage, what about, I think 4,000 to 5,000 students, because it was a hall. I stood there, and as soon as I looked at the crowd, at the people, I lost everything. I went blank. I just went blank. Immediately when I stood and I looked, the thoughts, the seeds, the unconscious things just came, and I just went blank, and I couldn't say anything. For the next 1 minute, I stood and I was just looking, and everybody was looking, say something. Taiwo was, I could hear whispers. What's going on? And then the drama leader came and just whispered, just say something. And I can't remember all I know is that I just saw myself outside, and that that day was a terrible time for me. And of course, like I said again, that grew again. The low self-esteem grew, the poor self-esteem grew. Then it now went to the next stage. In discovering your identity, I'll still go further to that because I'm just trying to give a foundation. And I realized that the poor self-image went, transferred to low self-esteem and then transferred again to low self-worth. And I finished the college, university, I got married. And I remember that many times when I go out with my husband, when we go out, maybe for a wedding or a program or something, I'll tell him that, let's sit at the back, and he'll tell him that, why? No, we should be in the front. I would always just run. I was extremely shy because I was not just comfortable with myself. I felt I was not good enough. I felt there were so many things that were wrong with me. I wasn't doing well, and it went on and on and on and on. So this particular day, at a point, I needed to even say this, at a point, I want, thought, because the final step of your of identity crisis, the final lapse is the low self-worth. This is when you have no value. There's no more, there's nothing, your value is gone. And when you get to that level, that's the last level. That's when the thoughts of depression starts to come to your mind. You start feeling worthless. You start feeling that, what is even about this life? And I lost my self-worth. I lost everything, but I was still trying to leave, because I had to leave. I'd gotten married. I had to be there for my daughters. I had to show up, but deep inside, I was going through a lot, but I just had to keep managing, and it went on and on. And so this particular day, I dropped my daughter in school, and I was going back to work or going back home. And I met this lady. She's part of my identity story. I met her, and she just, at that time she was doing this network. There was a lot of networking marketing going on that time. MMM was there, coffee was there, so many things. And she just came to me to know that there's this network marketing about coffee, that when I buy the coffee, I was just like, no, sorry, I'm not interested in that. So I walked like about 10 steps. She called me back and said, there's a program I want you to attend. It's a mastermind program. Maybe you might just enjoy it. It's every once a week, just for 1 hour. Just like, so what will I gain there? So I just try it, and after the first day, if you're not comfortable, you might just take your leave. So I said, okay. So she gave me the details, and I went there. Just only me as usual, always working lonely. I was so lonely, a lonely life. Thank God for my husband. And it's most times when I get home, he would just try to fill up that gap. And so I entered into the mastermind program, and we started. First day, good to go. Well, not bad. Second day, by the 7th day of the mastermind, it was not day to day. It was once a week. By the 7th week, I didn't have any pastor to lay hands on me. What changed was my thought pattern. Everything changed. Immediately, I got my groove back. I was like, wow, where have I been since all these days? My life took a great turn after the mastermind program. So for me, personal development, personal growth brought my identity. I was able to understand. And like I said, it was not like it was afterwards, the 7th week, that my story changed my identity. I just knew my identity, or I understood it. No, it was a process, but there was a shift in my thought pattern. There was a shift in my mindset. And that was how I got my groove back. And I stayed, and then I wanted to know more about myself, because those were the things that I learned in the mastermind, how to understand yourself. Who are you? So I took a time, I did a self-examination about myself, and I started looking at myself. And that's why I got deeper into this identity, that's what I want to share to everyone today. So I won't continue the identity story without starting from the foundation. I have to, that's my identity story, but the real foundation of discovering your identity is from God. And that's why I wrote it there. In the beginning was God. In the beginning was God. And why am I starting from in the beginning? Because if you look at a man, who is our creator? Our creator is God. God created us. God created us. So we have a creator. There was something I believe, and if you accept, you don't believe that there's a God. And I want to believe that everyone here believes there's a God. And that means that for us to be a being, for every being, human being, that means that we're created. There was something that is in us, and that's God, and that's God. That means that God created us. There's a manufacturer. Let me use the word manufacturer. There's a manufacturer that created the being, the human being. and that is God. And before I go into the manual, God had that there was an original identity and plan for man. When God created the world, when it was time to create man, he had an original identity and plan for man. And that's why I brought this, because I want to be practical. I brought this, I'm sure you can see this. I brought this, it's a phone box, and it's actually a phone that was inside. Now, the Samsung phone. Now, there was an original plan that the owner of Samsung had for this phone. So the original plan was that, okay, this phone is going to be rectangle, it's going to be long, I would make it black, I would make it sleek, I would make it, flat. That was an original identity plan that the person had for this phone. Now, if I got this phone and I looked at, oh, really, this person had an idea for this phone. Okay, but I have a responsibility, and that responsibility is for me to open the phone and pick up the manual and read through. If I don't read through, I might not be able to get the best of the phone. So when I read through, I would say, oh, really, there's an app here. Okay, I can do this. Oh, I can transfer. Oh, there's a Bluetooth here. That means that I've actually read the manual of the phone. And that's why I can get the best of this phone. But if I don't read the manual, I won't get the best of this phone. And that relates back to human beings. If we don't understand the manual, God's manual for human beings, for our identity, we will not understand who God has called us to be. We will not understand what he has made us to be. We will not understand the potentials that have been deposited in us. And that's why I had to bring this foundation. I had to bring this, and it's important for us to know what was God's idea for man. What was his original identity? And I said the first one is that God's identity is that let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over everything on earth. And so God created man in his own image. It's so simple. It's the simplest thing I've ever heard. That means that I was created in the image of God. You were created in the image of God. Now, there's a difference between the image and the likeness. Many times we always mix it up. We always think that image is a picture. And so we feel that we are the picture of God. No, that image means character. It means traits. It means attributes. So that means that if I was created in the image of God, that means that if God is kind, that means I'm kind. One of God's attribute or character is that God is mighty. God is great. That means that I am great. That means God was able to fulfill his potential. He was able to do. He acted. God acted. God acted in authority. There was so many, God, he acted he was a power on his own. So that means that I have power in me, according to our likeness. So I want you to just, if you have your journal, your pencil or your pen and your journal, I want you to just mark that down. Image, the second one, likeness, and the third one, dominion. This was God's original plan for man. We are created in the image of God. That means that I am God, and this is not blaspheming. I am God because I was created in his image. Today I can say, oh, my daughter Dara was created in my image, because that means that, we have this, Yoruba will say, that means that she took after my character. So it's the same way. If we're created in the image of God, we have to take after the character of God. So the first step is that you're supposed to ask yourself, what are the characters of God? Every character that you list out right now is who you are. According to our likeness, that means that the likeness is the figure, the framework. That means that God has ears, God has eyes, and that means that I also have the eyes that I have. God has he has ears, he has mouth. So we look alike according to our likeness. Then he now continued. He said the plan he had is that I want man to have dominion. I don't want man to have low self-esteem. I don't want man to be ridiculed, to be at the back. I want man to have dominion. Now, the dominion there is not dominion over human beings. Like I heard someone say that if you are always dominating men, you're always dominating people, you are a witch, but it's dominion over your purpose, dominion over your area of influence. So if you're a lawyer, you are dominating that influence. If you're a business person, you are dominating in that area. If you're an accountant, you are dominating in that area. So God wants us to have dominion. He wants dominion means power. It means leadership. It means to take charge. It means authority. So you are becoming an authority in your area of influence. That is God's original plan for man. And it continues. So God created man in his own image. Full stop. So if you can get this, then I'm done with this training. If you can just get this thing I'm telling you, I am done with this training. Now, if you go to the next plan, the next, which is God's manual. Like I said, I'm bringing back this phone again. For me to be able to enjoy this phone, I must be able to read the manual. Now, for you to be able to enjoy your person, for you to be able to have the best of who God has created you for, you must be able to know what was God's manual, what's God saying, why did God create me? And this is it. He said, then God blessed them and said, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over it. This is God's manual for man. So I think it's time for us to recap, or rather have a review that are you fruitful where you are? Can you give a self-examination about yourself right now as we speak? Can you say you've been fruitful in your area of influence? Can you say you've multiplied? Have you multiplied in your area of influence? Have you multiplied means you are not just in one part, you are not passive, you are not staying on the same spot. Every year you are getting better. Your skill is getting better. Your behavior is getting better. Your character, you are developing it. Your purpose, things about you is getting better. You are multiplying. You are not just in one spot. And it says, fill the earth. That means that you are to go to the earth and show and begin to bring what is on the inside of you, your expertise. Now feel it. Go and meet people, help people. The manual, what God has created is not for us. And that's why many times we are so comfortable with that, in that, oh, it's just me, my husband, my children. No. God's manual is that you have to fill the earth. You have to subdue it. Subdue means that take it. Don't leave it to those who don't need it. Take it and use it and have dominion over it. Like I said, and I have to repeat this again, that it's not dominion over human beings, but dominion over your area of influence. So this is a foundation, because if I don't explain this part, you can't really understand what it is, the identity, your identity, to discover your identity. So the self-consciousness of man, I'm going somewhere. So please just come out, just flow with me. So how did man become conscious of himself? It said God breathed into the nostrils of man and it became a living being. So like I said the first time, okay, so I'm going to bring back this phone again. Now there's a man, okay, there's an idea. The person that created Samsung Galaxy had an idea, and then he put the manual in the phone, and then he now gave the phone to the consumer, to the sell it. So at this point is where a man becomes conscious. The moment a child is born, your father gives birth to you, your mother gives birth to you, you become a living being. Yes, you've been a living being from the womb. From the moment your dad and your mom, came together at an intimate, that was when you became a living being. But of course, you started as a fetus, like a seed that was growing in the womb. But the moment you came out of your mother's womb, you became like a full living being. And that's where the self-consciousness of man started. This is the beginning of the consciousness of man. Like I said, I'm coming from somewhere. I'm trying to introduce, man, before I get into it, because you have to understand yourself. You have to understand how man came into existence. And for us to be able to live in this physical world, you definitely need your 5 senses to live this, to be conscious of yourself. There are 5 senses. For those of us that went to good schools, please let's see, so that it's not as if I'm just talking. Please can you chat? Can you write put your response in the chat room. What are the 5 senses? The 5 senses, what are the 5 senses? God breathed into the node of man and became a living being. For us to be in this physical world, we need to, we have to use our 5 senses to exist. Without these 5 senses, we cannot, because that's what controls us. That's what controls us. Okay, thank you. I think I'm saying that. All right, let me give you the expo now. So these are the 5 senses. This is what you need. This is what every man is, the 5 senses you need. This is what most people, everybody, not even most people. This is what defines you. This is what, right now you're thinking of who you are you got it from these 5 senses. But I'm not going to focus on the smell and the touch and the taste. I'm just going to focus on 3, which is the touch. The touch is the feelings. The vision is a sight, and the hearing. So it's very important. I'm going to focus on these 3 parts. The vision. Now, like I said, remember that there was an original plan that God had for man. There was a manual that God had for man. But when man became a living being, the 5 senses started changing the original plan that God had for man. And so when we came into this world, like I said, my identity started changing. When I was a teenager, immediately I felt the touch part. I felt I wasn't good enough. I felt I wasn't doing well. I felt what brain did God give my twin brother that I didn't have? So there was something, and can you say that my physical senses started telling me who I was not, and of which God had already told me who I was. So now so at that time I was having a battle of identity, and that's what most people are going through today. It's called the battle of identity, and everyone goes through this battle. It's a battle, and it's a battle that we must fight. Every one of us goes through this battle, and so the touch, that's the feelings, the vision, your sight. What are you seeing every day? What are you hearing every day? What are you saying to yourself? These are your 5 senses. Your 5 senses whatever you had today was as a result of your 5 senses. That means what you heard, what you saw, your feelings, your behaviors, people's opinions about you. What have they said about you? These are all, when you bring everything together, it goes into this unconscious mind. Still, like I said, I have that picture of the iceberg again. It goes to the bottom. And then at times you just find that you do something that triggers it. And you're wondering that, why did I do this? Because you have not dealt with the iceberg. You have not dealt with that thing underneath your unconscious mind. You have not dealt with it. And that was why it took me that long, because every time when I got to high school, when I got to the college, university, it always triggers it until I totally wiped it off. So this brings me to the definition of self-identity. So the question is, who are you? I think that's a question we must ask ourselves right now. If I ask you, who are you? Many of us, I wrote it in my article. If you ask people, who are you? They'll say, I'm a teacher. You're not a teacher. That's just your occupation. You are not, who are you? I'm a doctor. You're not a doctor. That's just your occupation. Who are you? I'm a lawyer. You're not a lawyer. That's just your occupation. It's just that you have, for you to be able to identify who you are, and what you do, your belief, your character, everything, there must be something. There must be a platform. And that's why we have to go to school. When you go to school, you have to grow. You go to the stages, you pass through the stages of school so that you can eventually become something. And then maybe you become, you go through a course. And after you're done with school, they start looking for job, 9 to 5. And then you realize that 50 years old, 60 years old, you're still in the 9 to 5. You have not been discovered yourself. So who are you is more than your title. Who are you is more than your money. Some people's identity is in their money, and that's why they might have 10 million naira today. The next moment, they might just have 0 naira in their account, and they're like, they can't even find their identity anymore. The next thing you hear that, cool, the person is late. Or rather, you find some people that have spent maybe years and years in their place of job, and after maybe they retire or they tell them to resign, and after 1 year or 2 years, they're gone. because they don't even know where to start, because everything had been mumbled in their titles. It had been mumbled in their appearance, in whatever. So it now depends on who are you? What have you placed your identity on? Is it your title? Is it your occupation? Is it your job? Is it your money? Is it your business? If you put your identity, if you define your identity on those things, with time, it would fade away. And that's why I had to take it to that foundation. So what is self-identity? It is the abilities, the beliefs, the character, your personality, your appearance, your image, your feelings. This is what makes you, your abilities, your belief system, your character, your personality, your appearances. So it's not just one thing. It combines so many things. So when you put everything together, that's what makes you me. This is what makes me. Because I've been able to work on my abilities. I've been able to work on my belief system. I've been able to work on my character, my personality, my appearance. So today, if you come and tell me that, Taiwo, you are ugly, I won't even believe you, because I've dealt with that part. If you come and meet me that, oh, you are a domineering person, I will say no, because I've been able to understand my personality. I know my nature, and I know how to nurture it. I know my weaknesses, I know my strengths, because I've gone through the discovery process. And so in order to understand who you are, you have to be able to discover it. You understand it, then you discover it. The discovering, it's the process. It's the process. So taking me to the battle of identity, like I said, there will always be, this battle will be there. It will be there. And there are three major things in this battle. Everyone is going to fight this battle. Even Dangote is fighting this battle. It's a continuous battle that we will keep fighting. We will keep fighting till we leave this world. But the good thing about it is that when you discover yourself early, if you understand yourself, you'll be able to scale through. You will it's like jumping the fence. You will just jump over it. When the challenges come, when the identity crisis, confusion comes to you, you will just jump, you fly over it, because you've understood yourself. So the first one, the battle that you fight, you will fight your self-image, because you would always continue to see. You will see things that you don't want to see. You will see what you don't even want to see, and you will describe yourself with what you see. Your feelings will tell you that you're not, your confidence. There's something called imposter syndrome. When I read through it, I was surprised that you can actually find the imposter syndrome was brought out of it was a research for some particular set of people. They were doing it, they interviewed them. They were doing very well. They were earning about, now equivalent to Nigerian Naira, about 1.5 million Naira a month. But yet, they were still feeling worthless. They still had this feeling of, oh, I'm not good enough. They had all the master's degree, academic, they were performing well, but there was still something that was still telling them that you are not good enough. That's what we call imposter syndrome. They had everything. They interviewed them, they had good marriage, they had good children, but there was still something, there was still a gap. And that was because they had not fully discovered their identity. And the last one is self-worth, where at this point, like I said, like I gave you my story, the self-worth, this is the final one. When you hear a story of someone that, oh, he died, or he just killed himself, committed suicide. Sorry, he just committed suicide. That is the place. That is a place of self-worth where you have lost your value. Where you have lost your value. And I just want a quote here. I said, as you think in his heart, so easy. I think, therefore I am. It has to do with your thinking, what you're saying, your feelings, your value. It is who we think we are that we eventually become. We are the final judges of our own worth, our value, and our life. So in order to fight this battle of identity, there are three things majorly that you have to work on. The first one is the lowest. Who do people say I am? You will keep hearing this. People will talk about you. They will say unpleasant things about you. Don't go after people's opinion, because when you know who you are, you would not be after people's opinion. People, when they say things about you, you would care less, because you know who you are. You know that you have the right character. You know that you are doing the right thing. You know who you are. And because it's a journey, you won't be too, you won't be dependent on what people say about you. What are they saying about me? You know, if you, like I'm still going to go further when I get to the branding part, that if you don't tell people who you are, they will tell you who you are. So you have to define, you have to start, cutting off negative voices, toxic voices, negativism. When you feel you're in your inner circle and you have friends who are very negative, you have to stay away from them. The next one is, who do I think I am? Even at this stage, I won't even say you should accept this stage, because many times some of us have been battered with life challenges. Some of us have gone through so much. We've got maybe our past, maybe when we're young, it could have been an abuse, maybe rape, or so many things that have affected us so badly that even though, yes, we are trying to work it out, it will still come. And so that's why this stage, you can't really fight so much in this stage. But your true identity, I will still go back to it, is who God says you are. So you have to first ask yourself, who do God say I am? So when you start listing it out, who do God say I am? Then you begin to know who you are. And when you begin to know who you are, you won't be bothered about what people are defining you. So what are the signs? So of course, before I go into the steps of discovering, the steps on how to discover yourself, you have to be able to understand the symptom. Let's see, do you really have this sign? How do you know if you have an identity confusion, identity crisis? Because every one of us will always go through, at one point in our life, we would always go through this sign. So let's see, what are the signs? The number one, I wrote here, pessimistic. There are many more, but I just picked few of them. Pessimistic outlook to life. There are just some people that they are just, their life is just dark. What they see is just darkness. Everything about them is impossible. When it's time to do anything, it's impossible. Before they say anything, it's impossible. They never see good in life. Nothing ever works for them. They are pessimistic about life. They are never optimistic. Everything never works. It's because of the government. They are always having excuses. Something or the other is always stopping them from moving forward. When it's time when opportunity comes for them to move forward, the excuses coming. They're always, every time, giving excuses. Those are signs and symptoms of identity confusion. The next one, you are disconnected from a sense of morality. At this point, you have gotten to a level where you are disconnected from morality. Nothing moves you. They are going about, they can sleep around, nothing, they don't care anymore. Everything just goes for them. At this point, this type of people have been rejected many times. Let me put it that way. I'm still going to explain the factors, because for you to be able to go through this, for you to have the symptoms of this or these signs, something must have warranted it. And that's why it's called the cause and effect. Something must have caused it to happen. And so when you find people who are disconnected from a sense of morality, they have gotten to a point of rejection whereby maybe they've tried they've been rejected by their parents, rejected by their spouses, rejected by their friends. And so nothing moves them anymore. So nothing moves them. They're not bothered anymore. The next one, self-consciousness about appearance. People, when you're always checking yourself every time, am I looking good? What do you think? How do I look? Your focus is on your appearance. You rather use all your money to buy the most expensive things, expensive gadgets, expensive clothes, expensive jewelries. You might even have the last money in your account, but the first thing that comes to your mind is the latest shoes. That's a sign of identity confusion. Performance, you're always looking down on yourself, or maybe for students, they're always, I can't make it. Oh, mommy, I can't make it. When you have your children telling you every time, I can't do it. Oh, mommy, I failed. I don't want to do it again. Those are signs. And those are why parents, if you're a parent here, you need to quickly work on that. Also, status. You're always depending on your status. I'm the leader. Do you know who I am? I have authority. I'm the, power drunkenness. Those are when you start depending on your status. That means that these are signs of identity confusion. Abuses, alcohol, and you have abused alcohol and drugs. Whenever you always want to look for your joy. You always want to look for your identity in alcohol. So anytime anytime you feel bad about yourself or you feel the first thing that comes into your mind is to go and drink alcohol. Then you get drunk or just go into drugs. You lack control of your emotions. So your emotions are always mood swings. Today you are happy, next tomorrow you are sad. Another time, the mood swing just comes, it picks it from the iceberg, picks it from the unconscious mind and just drops it on you, and you are just being controlled like a sea, like a wave. Today you are happy, next tomorrow you are sad. That's a sign of identity confusion. You are critical and judgmental view of others. When people come to meet you, you always find something bad about them. When they say, oh, guess what? I did very well. Oh, is it only you? Is it only you? Who told you that? Are you the only, you're always looking to look down on people. You always want to make people always look bad. You always have something bad to say about people. You are the first person to carry the gossip. That means that you are very critical. You're judgmental. That's a sign. You are often isolated. I went to this stage. I would isolate myself as a teenager. I would stay in the room, lock the door. My parents just couldn't understand me. I just wanted to be alone. I was not rebellious, but just leave me alone. I don't want to be with anybody. But I was going through a lot at that time. And I didn't even understand. I didn't know I was going through an identity confusion at that time. Final one, like I said, there are many. The last one is exhibit extremism and negativism. You're always an extreme. Everything you do is always extreme. If you are getting angry, you are extreme. If you are eating, you eat too much, extreme. Negativism, you're always having toxic words, negative words speaking. Those are signs of identity crisis. And like I said, there's always a factor. So let's look at the factor that causes identity confusion. One, family environment. For many of us, maybe some of us, we grew in a poverty-stricken home. And so we have grown so much in poverty. And we have grown up with that poverty mindset. And so we are not even seeing abundance anymore. It's called a slavery mindset, whereby you are not seeing yourself. You don't ever see yourself to have money. You don't ever see yourself in abundance. Your mindset is poverty. What you think of is poverty. Before I cannot afford it. I cannot do this. Because you've been brought up in an environment of suffering. So they might even have so much in their account. They might have so much money, but they will never spend it on them. And you will see that they'll wear torn. I've seen a very rich man that had torn t-shirts, his jeans, everything was torn. And so those are the factors, because he probably grew up in an environment, a poverty-stricken home. So that has become a seed that has grown and is now exhibiting it. Parental influence, where maybe you've had parents that bullied you, or you are from a divorced home, you would always have it that you always think that, oh, that means that my marriage cannot work, or you have an abusive partner that have abused you, toxic relationship. You've had relationship whereby your partner is always beating you. You never feel good about yourself. Peer pressure. You always compare yourself to your friends. Whatever your friends are doing is what you want to do, not knowing that you are different, you are unique, you are standing out. Your culture, many cultures, especially in a country like ours, like Nigeria, whereby there's so many cultures. Oh, in this particular place, we don't do this. In this place, we are doing this. Negative past memories. Our occupation, sometimes we are so, because of the environment, we feel that we can't get the best job anymore. We feel we can't get high paying jobs because our jobs that's our life, has become our life. Because we are scared that, if I aspire higher, I might not get the best of what I want. And please, can you mute your phone, Shino, please? Thank you. And the final one, factors that causes identity confusion, body features. Sorry, I just muted.
Mute it from your end. Mute it from your end.
I've done that. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, all right. So now going to the stages, like I believe you're flowing with me. So going to the next stages of self-discovery. There are three major stages of self-discovery that will help you to discover yourself. The first one is your identity, like I said. The second one is your potential. Now, I've said so much or the identity. So I believe that at this point, you already know who you are. Now, the second one is your potential. This is the becoming part, and this is where the hard work is. This is where the becoming, because you are now becoming what you've been saying you are. You said you are strong. You said, yes, I can do it. You said, I am great. You said, I'm a success. Now you have to become it. It's not just, so words is not just, it's not just enough for you to say it. You have to become that potential. You have to become what you have been saying. And this is where the work is. Then the third one is your purpose. This is how you discover yourself. If God has called every one of us into a purpose, an assignment, every one of us, whether you're a man, you're a woman, auntie, uncle, grandma, you have a purpose. You were born for a purpose, and that purpose is service to God and to man, to mankind. So your purpose is not about you. Your identity is about you. That's the first stage. So I have to discover myself, because if I don't know who I am, I cannot become who I should be. And if I don't become who I should be, I cannot fulfill my purpose. That means that the assignment God has given to me, I can't take it outside to the world. I can't take it, just like what I'm doing right now. I'm fulfilling my purpose right now by teaching everyone here on identity, because I was born to do this. It's my purpose to help people discover their identity. And so right now I'm fulfilling purpose. I'm fulfilling to God because God has given it to me, and I'm rendering that service to men out there, to people all over the world. So the question is, what were you born to do? Or rather, let's go back to the second stage. What have you become you? So maybe just for us to make this interactive, at what stage would you say you are? Some people are even at 0 stage. Some of us don't even know who we are. Some of us don't, so if you don't know who you are, then you have to start from stage 1. When you start from stage 1, then you move to stage 2, then you move to stage 3. And so you have to start from somewhere. Like someone said that the future is already late. So if you think that let me start tomorrow, you're already late. So you have to start now. Today is the day to start, because by the time we wake up tomorrow, it's already late. When the opportunity comes, it's already late to prepare. So you must start. You must start before. So it's better you start now. And the first one, like I said, who you are. The second one, potential. And the third one, your purpose. So I'm just going to list the steps to self-discovery. I might not really go into details, because it's a training on its own on the steps. So I'm just giving just a general overview. But I wrote it here that the main problem with our society is not money. It's not even AIDS. And when I mean society, I'm talking about the main problem of the world today. It's not even coronavirus. Yes, there is coronavirus. It's not even cancer. But the main problem is lack of identity. The reason is because, yes, money is a problem. Yes, I agree. AIDS is a disease and it's a problem to the world. Coronavirus is a problem because right now, most people are locked down. It has moved countries. Cancer, yes, because when you have cancer, there's tendency, the rate of death, the death rate is high. But the main problem is lack of identity. And if you ask me why, I would say that if you understand yourself, if you know yourself, the money would flow, money will come. If you understand yourself, you'll be able to fulfill purpose. Okay, let me give an example of the world of AIDS, coronavirus, and cancer. This morning we heard about a man that died, and I'm sure for those of us that are very active on social media, you'd have seen everybody posting the pictures of Black Panther. Oh, yeah, Black Panther, the actor that died in Black Panther is late, he died of cancer. But if you look back, do you know he actually fulfilled his purpose? And he identified himself early, and he was able to go into acting. He went into acting, he was able to bring out his potential, and he became something. And that's why today, everyone is posting him on their social media. So the problem is that if you don't know who you are, you cannot discover yourself. And if you cannot discover yourself, God forbid, if you die today, it would be as if the story will be that he just came. They'll just write it as a biography. Came in 1992 to 1993, and that's the end of the person. But today, everybody's celebrating the man. Yes, he died of cancer, very painful. but he fulfilled his potential. He fulfilled his purpose by helping colored people, because I will not even say blacks. I don't like to use the word blacks, but he helped by bringing colored people into the light. Everybody watched that movie, and that brought significance to the colored people. I mean, that brought, so his purpose of acting was not only for him, but he took his assignment to the world. He brought out the potential by taking it outside, by acting, and his movie became a bestseller. So if you agree with me that the main problem is actually the lack of identity. If everybody can understand their identity, discover their identity, this world will be a better place. There will be no reason to shoot someone 10 times. There will be no reason to judge people by the color of their skin. There will be no reason to get jealous of your friend. There will be no reason to say, oh, I'm richer than, because we are all in our place of identity. Everybody has that lane. You are staying on your lane and you are walking in that lane. Steps to self-discovery. I'm going to rush through this. The first one is power of a renewed mind. Renewing your mind, like I always said, this is a mind surgery. I call it the mind surgery. This is the first step. What I've been talking for the past 30 minutes, I believe, for the past 40 minutes. And what I'm doing right now is that your mind is being renewed. You know, there's a lot of surgery going on right now in your thought patterns. Your patterns is changing. Your mind is renewed. You know, you are beginning to see better. Now the light is coming to you. Now you know that you have to be mindful of your hearing. That means that whatever you hear, you have to see it. That means that whatever you are doing, you are being intentional. This means that you are renewing your mind daily. And this stage is constantly. You have to constantly do. It's not a one-day process. You don't just say, this week I've renewed my mind. Next week I'm not going to renew. You have to, till you die. You have to keep renewing your mind. You have to keep asking yourself, what am I saying to myself? Positive affirmation. For me, what has helped me in renewing my mind was having a positive affirmation. I would speak to myself during that period of my self-discovery. I would say to myself, Taiwo, you are great. Taiwo, you are a success. Taiwo, you are relevant. Yes, you can do it. I will speak to myself daily. I will look at myself in the mirror and scream and say, because what I was renewing my mind. Because I had to deconstruct all those negative thought patterns. They had to leave me. And I had to start declaring what I wanted to see. And another thing that helped me again was a vision board about my future. If you come into my bedroom, I have a board. And in that board, I have pictures of where I want to be in 10, 20, 30 years from now. And these are pictures that are real pictures. So I'm looking at them and I'm saying them. Many times my children will come to me and say, oh, even what my daughter recently, Dara, she came and, she pasted her own there too. I said, move to a mansion because she has a picture ready. So I said, okay, yes, that's your own vision board. So what am I saying is that we have to, it's a constant, in the process of renewing your mind, you begin to discover yourself. You begin to discover your originality. You begin to become real. You begin to become authentic. The second one, you have to discover your gift. When God has given everyone a gift, every man, a woman, a gift, child, you have that gift. But many of us are not ready to discover this gift. When God gives us a gift, the gift comes very raw. And that's why it's our responsibility to now, build up this skill. We have to nurture these gifts, nurture the talent. If you're a singer, maybe you're a musician or something, are you developing your voice? What are you doing? It's more than if you say, yes, I'm a lawyer. Yes, what are you doing in that area? Are you developing the gift of criminal law or something? Whatever gift I've been given to you, for me, is a teaching gift. And because I have a teaching gift, I have to develop it. I have to attend programs on public speaking. I have to be able to know, look for words. I have to be able to develop, good PowerPoints. So those are the things. So whatever gift God has given to you, don't say, I don't have a gift. No, you have a gift. But it's your responsibility to develop that gift. It's your responsibility to market that gift. You know, I have a friend that is here. I will tell him that I'm not good in marketing. You say, no, it doesn't matter. If you're not good in marketing, then that's where you should focus on and start seeing how you can get better. So that means I have to always show up. The third one is your DISC personality analysis. This is a test. With this particular one, you can't, it's not something you can guess it. You don't guess it. It's a test. And I've done the test before. So I'll just quickly run through it because this is a course on its own. We have the dominance. The dominance is mostly the choleric. These are the behavioral analysis, like your behavior, why you do what you do, why you say what you do. You know, we have the D. The D are the choleric. You know, some people are born choleric. Choleric means that they have there's power, there's authority, they're very domineering. Whatever, that yes is yes, no is no. You know, and most of the time, you find them in leadership position because they are go-getters. When they say I'll get that thing, they will get it. But they also have their weaknesses. Their weakness is that they're not attentive. They don't have time. They don't have that patience to be able to go through details. And so that's why this personality test is very important, so that you'll be able to know, okay, if I'm I in D, so that means that I have to be able to nurture my D. If I'm I in influence are the sanguine. These ones are, they are very friendly, always laughing. You know, you see them about playing, friendly, always joking. They're like most of them fall into the categories of comedians. But if you realize they have their weaknesses too, their weakness is that people never take them serious. Most times that, oh, that one is not serious. But that's just that person. You see that they'll be dancing. Ooh, any little thing they'll dance, because that's their personality. So they have to be to work on their weaknesses by ensuring that sometimes they get serious. And of course, the stability. For me, I fall into stability and consciousness. Stability is the phlegmatic. We are always reserved. We are quiet. But for me, I've been able to nurture that personality by trying to come out, to bring out a little bit of influence in me, and also a bit of dominance. Because when you're too reserved, when you're too shy, you would not be able to, you won't get the best of yourself. So I had to nurture that area of my weakness. And the consciousness are the melancholy. Melancholy people are detailed, very detailed. You will tell them that if you put this pen on the table, when you get back, that's where you find that table. They're very loyal people, they're so loyal. Whatever you tell them to guess, but guess what their weakness is? Creativity. They lack creativity. Because whatever Oga said we should do it, and that's how they will do. Oga said we should sit down, they will sit down. My mommy said, don't do this, don't do this. So you find out that they're not creative, they're not innovative. And so it's important you discover your personality. This is part of my coaching program, this is what I teach to help people know their behavior, why they do what they do, why are you doing this, why are you behaving this way, and how can you nurture it? And then we have another step to self-discovery, your SWOT analysis. I'm going to have to run through your SWOT analysis. These are your strengths, your opportunities, your weaknesses, and your threats. So if you know your strengths, you work on your strengths. Your weaknesses, you work on your weaknesses. If you're the type that you're always telling lies, you have to be truthful to yourself. That's why it's called the personal SWOT analysis. Maybe you don't have integrity, or maybe your weakness might be procrastination, or maybe your weakness might be dishonesty or something. You have to work in that area. Then you ask yourself, what are your opportunities? What opportunities can I bring? I'm just giving an example. Maybe you have a skill, you have an expertise in something. What those expertise that you have, what can you use it for? Those are your opportunities. And then your threat, you have to look at the future. Your threat is like, you look at your 10 to 15 years from now. What can you do that? Okay, let's take for example, a typical example, we're in the new normal now. So let's assume now those that were not used to the digital world, or those that were not techie savvy, you find out that right now they're struggling. So right now, that's a threat for them. And if they're not careful, they will be rendered useless. So the threat is that you have to go and learn digital skills. You have to go and learn copywriting. You have to go and learn content writing. You have to go and learn anything, because we're in the new normal now. The way we did things last year, you cannot do it any longer this year. For instance, I'm taking this training. As of 2 years ago, I would have taken this training in a training hall. And I would have been expecting people would have been coming, there's traffic. But now I'm taking it via Zoom. I have people that were telling me that, I don't have Zoom app. Oh, how do you download Zoom app? You see, that's the threat. It's a threat for them. Another step to self-discovery, your competence. You must develop your competence, your knowledge, your attitude, your experience. For many of us who have worked, we have 15 years, 20 years experience. What are you using this experience for? It is this experience that would help you to discover who you are. Then your values. You have to have good values. You have to have good values. You must be able to write out your core values. What are your values? What are your values? Your excellence, honesty, accountability, service, consistency. You have to know your values. Your personal growth is one of them. Like I said, it's a training. It's a long, so I have to just run through. The next one, discover your purpose. I gave it the stages. If you don't know your purpose, you cannot truly identify yourself. Another one, unlock your potential. God has given every one of us a potential. So you have to unlock this potential, your potential and your untapped power. That means that for everything, for every day, there's something on the inside of you. Let me just give this story before I round up. There was a man that got drunk, and then he found himself in the pit. And then the people were telling him, come out of the pit, come out of the pit. And he was saying, well, I'm not bothered. And about, I think he was in the pit for like about 1 hour. And then he heard a noise, and he looked back. He just saw a wolf. Immediately, he didn't know how he jumped out from the pit outside. That shows that there was a potential for him to have jumped out since. But he kept saying, I can't jump, I can't jump. So that means that in every one of us, there is a potential that we have on the inside. The last one is your dreams and your visions. You must be able to aspire. You must have a vision of where you are going to. You must have a vision statement. When you have those things, when you look at them daily, you find out that you begin, your identity begins to become real. And it's no longer just in words. It becomes real. And this is the final part, the last part. I said, so how do you build your personal identity? I wrote it here that don't give anyone the power to define you. You must be different. Your identity is what separates you from others. And this is your brand. So if you don't identify, if you don't define your brand, people will define it for you. I gave an example here. If you look at Obama today, Obama has a brand. He was able to define his brand. If you look at Oprah, she had a brand. And she started with an identity, and then she started building this brand. Even Coca-Cola today, if you want to buy Coca, if you want to buy, sometimes you might want to even buy Fanta or Sprite, or even 7-Up or Mirinda. You say, give it Coke. Because the picture, the Coca-Cola has built the brand. And this is what we also are supposed to build. We're supposed to build our brand so that we can define our identity to people and not people telling us. You can imagine me telling Omotola now that Omotola, you're a musician. No, you are a singer. And she will wonder that she don't even need to even argue too much because she knows she has been able to define a brand that she's an actress. So I'll just skip through that. So now in defining your brand, what are the questions you need to ask? The first one is ask yourself, what do I want to be known for? Now this is defining your brand. What do I want to be known for? What qualities do I want people to associate with me? What is the first thing I want to have to pop up in people's minds, their head when they hear my name? I had to write this story. I needed to share it. When many years ago, my brother had a friend, and they used to call the friend Cut Small. So after a while, I didn't forget. So I just called Mr. Cut Small, and he said, "No, don't call me that name, Joe." So I asked my brother that, "What's the meaning of Cut Small?" He said, when they are together, the guy had defined his identity, so to say. He would say, "Please cut small for me. Cut, I beg. Cut small meat for me. Cut small biscuits for me." And then they tagged him as Cut Small. Until today, that's what they still call it. So the question is, what is the first thing you want people to, what do you want people to call you? Do you want them to call you a name that you are not? So the earlier the better you brand yourself, you define your identity. But before you build your brand, you must be able to discover your passion. I think I've said that. You must be bold about it. You must tell your story. It's only in telling your story, you have to be vulnerable. People want to know, yes, who are you? Oprah today had a story. Joyce Meyer had a story. Everybody has a story. There's a story about you. You must be able to come up with that story and share to the world, because by sharing it, you are helping people outside there. You have to create the right relationship and build network. You have to take actions in building your brand. Every little step is a step forward. And this is the final slide, steps to building your personal identity brand. So the first one, you start by writing out your personal autobiography. So I think maybe this might be the first step. So when you round up, maybe today after this training, you can just start writing your autobiography. Your autobiography is not only when you die. You know, we are so used to that thing. It's only when people die, they go and do an obituary or a brooch or a obituary booklet, and then they'll now write, no, you went to so. No, you start it now. Then you write out your purpose message. You define your market target audience. Who are you sent to? What the people you are sent to, what do they like? Where do they live? I know of a friend that her purpose, she found identity in helping she had a very low self-esteem background story. So she wanted to help people in Ajegunle. So she would go to Ajegunle there and help them, go to there's a place called Dustbin Estate or something like that. So she went there, training them and teaching them. So she had to go to where they are. She went to Ajegunle. Some of us, our purpose, our identity is in Banana Island. So the most, or rather, maybe you are people listening to me, maybe from UK or America, it might just be a particular area where you know that you have to actually go there to be able to share your assignment, share your story to them. So you have to go to where they are. And how do you define it? You define it, or you can either define it offline or online. So offline, that means that you have to tell people this is what I do, words of mouth, like Obama. When Obama wanted to become a president, he didn't just wake up in the morning and said, today, I'm going to contest for the I'm going to be a president of America. No, he started by identifying himself. He started by, words of mouth. He started by, something, there must be a process. And so we have the offline and the online. Online is the social media digital identity, whereby you have a blog, you might have a website, you might have a Facebook page, you might have an Instagram page, Twitter, or email marketing, or YouTube. You are sharing content. You are sharing something to someone daily. At this point, you are defining who you are. People are getting to know you. And then when it's time for them, when they need you, they will now eventually call you. And if you are not digital techie, you can fall for the offline campaign, words of mouth. But this is very slow. You have to tell people, you have to get posters, you have to get flyers, newsletters, and newspaper. So finally, I leave you with this word. Most people search I for the keys to success. If they only know that the key to their dreams and life goals lies within their identity. I leave you with that quote. Thank you very, 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 very much. And finally, like I said, I have a coaching class, a coaching workshop where I help, I coach you how to discover your DISC personality assessment. We help you with your area of influence to know which area do you fall under. We help you to know your leadership assessment. Where are you in your area of assessment? Your wheel of life. We check which your wheel of life is a circle, it's like a wheel. So we draw the wheel. So that wheel has different wheels. We have the family, the relationship, your finances. And so it's like a tire, the way it tires. So some of us, our circle is the curve is, it's not in a circular shape. And so this is what we train you, we coach you on. And the final one is the purpose test, where we help you discover your purpose. Some of us get this thing very easily, but some of us, you need a guide. You need someone to take you through that step. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for listening to me. If you have any question, any comment, or any concern, anything you have to say to what have you learned today, or anything, you can just feel free to share that while I stop the share. Thank you very much. Any question? Any? I have to actually welcome. I want to say a big thank you to everybody. But sorry, okay, I can see a question. Okay, Alaja, please can you, Mrs. Adeniro, are you putting a thumbs up or you have a question? Okay, I think it's a thumbs up. If there's any question or observation or thought, you have a thought to share, just to something you have learned or something you think I didn't say, you can just.
Good evening, Taiwo.
Good evening, Olumide.
Okay, I will say this as simple as I can say it about the identity stage.
Yeah.
I think that identity stage is something that is not something that will just pass through for once. I think as we grow in life, it's something that we are living. And if today I'm in primary school, tomorrow I'm in university, I keep finding new things about myself.
Okay.
I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. Yeah, that's I totally agree with what you said. But I would also say that, like, I said something that it's a identifying your identity is a process. It's a journey. But at the same time, you won't be passive. You won't want to say, oh, because I have to wait till maybe I have to wait to this stage, I'll wait to another stage, because you might not really have that time. You might not have that laxity of time. So that's why you are here, to be to know that it's possible to get it fast. I'm not saying it might be tomorrow. I'm not saying it might be next week, but we must be intentional. We must be conscious. We must be intentional about it, that yes, I have to get better. But many of us can be passive many a time, because and that's the natural man it doesn't want to do. There's some people that you have to push them, and there's some people that you don't need to push them. So it's a journey, but in that journey you are intentional about it. So why I agree with you that yes, it's a stage, it gets clearer and clearer. Yes, but what if it doesn't? You might get to 60 years old or 70 years old, and you're still saying you're still finding it's still getting clearer. So why not just start now and keep starting at it? Let it get better. Let it get better. Let it get better. So you are also right, but I'm just trying to add that to you, that we have to be intentional about it. So I think someone is asking a question here. Okay, how is it okay to cut people off if they don't align with your purpose? Yes, I agree. Yes, you have to cut off some people. And that's why there's a law called the law of inner circle. If you have to look at your friends. If you have friends that are not moving, you're not moving forward, then you have to cut them off. If your friends will not push you forward, you have to cut them off. So you must be intentional about your friends. If you have friends that are not purpose driven, if you are the only one, every time people are always coming to meet you, you always, every time it's always you find yourself you are moving back instead of moving forward, then it's time to leave. It's time to look for people. It's time to look for intentional friends. So yes, you can cut them off. And the next one says, how would you have someone who has crippling self-doubt? I think I mentioned that this is where the positive affirmation comes in. That's why I said, it starts with your sin, it starts with the mind. So now that you've identified that, yes, I have a self-doubt. So how do I walk? How do I change? I have to keep declaring who I am. I must, if it's possible, I can get a positive affirmation and be declaring it every morning and night. It's a process. So you have to keep saying it to yourself, keep saying what you want to hear, what you want to see. And then you'll be surprised that within a short period of time, 6 months, 7 months, you just realize that you have built self-confidence in that area. I would like you to share more light on vision board. That's the next question. I hope you got me the temper. Okay, I would like you to share more light on vision board. Okay, yeah, vision board, it's practical. Like I said, I have a vision board and it's just very simple. You don't have to go and buy, you can just get a furniture man to help you design a box. I mean, a wooden box. And then you put pictures of, but before then you must have written down your goals, your aspiration, where you want to see. That's why it's called a vision board. It's like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. The vision board is just like a reminder to remind you of where you are going. Because the issues of life, just take for instance, we had coronavirus, COVID came in. Many of us have had visions of where we should be now. But it came and cut off so many dreams, cut off so many visions. But it doesn't stop you from still achieving that vision because the vision board is right in front of you. So it's just something like a box that you place in front of your room, get a printer, just make it as simple as possible. You should. I have a friend that said she would remove the head of the person. Let's assume is a picture of Clinton or let's say Obama, and you're a man. She will remove the head of Obama and put her own head and paste it on there so that it's real. So it's just a picture to show that yes, you will get there. And the last question before I round up says, show me, okay, that was just a comment. Show me your friends and perception, and perception says a lot about you. Thank you very, very much. My boss is actually in the house. I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Taiwo Awonuga, and to everyone who has joined me, my brothers, my sisters, everyone. I want to say a big thank you. Thank you for joining me tonight. I believe you got something. So what I want to say is that let us go out there and apply what we have learned. Let us not be passive. Let us identify ourselves. You have to look at what stage am I in right now. Am I just about to discover myself, or do I know who I am now? Like I said, it started from the foundation. What is my assignment? The potential. What can I do? The highest of your potential. The moment you achieve your highest potential, that means that there's another potential in you again. So it's until when a man, and that's why Moron said, you die empty. So make sure, I think I will leave you with this final word. Make sure you die empty. Thank you very much. God bless you all. And have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night.
Thank you very much.